Welcome to the Ivannia Show. This is our first episode in our new series called Raw, and we're starting with the truth. Not the polished version, not the highlight reel, the real story behind becoming. On this show, we keep it raw, rising after war, because every person you see winning had a moment where they think they wouldn't make it. This is for the ones who had to rebuild themselves in silence, for the ones who kept going when it hurt, for the ones who refused to stay broken. If you're in the middle of your own war right now, or you're trying to find your way out of one, you're not alone. You're in the right place. Let's get to it. Our first guest today, it's Belinda Prattis. Belinda is a cost segregation and R&D tax credit advisor working with real estate investors and business owners nationwide. She helps clients unlock cash flow through cost segregation, advanced depreciation, and R&D credits. Translating complex tax strategies into clear, practical decisions based off-grid in the New Mexico desert, she blends analytical rigor with intuition while advocating for equitable access to well-building tools.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, Belinda.
Good
Thank you
morning.
for being here. It is an honor to be the first person to share your story. I'm very excited. And as mentioned, it's an honor. And by God's grace, we're here. So I'm very excited about our conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me and having me. I feel the same way.
Thank you. All right, let's start with your story. Let's start from the beginning. Where did you grow up?
So, I started my life outside of the US actually, in Seoul, South Korea. And then we
Oh,
moved here to the States when I was about 4 years old, just under 4 years old. So, I always say I was made in Texas, born in Korea, assembled with US and Korean parts.
I like that, a symbol.
So my mom and I, we came here and we moved to North Carolina, one of the big army bases out there, Fort Bragg, because my father was in the service. And then my mom and I have been moving around ever since. And my daddy's been living overseas most of my life, serving our country. So I kind of grew up a little bit of everywhere, but I would say mostly Maryland.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
And now I love this, you're off grid and the New Mexico desert. I
Yeah.
that's one of my goals, just to say I'm off grid.
Yep.
So I applaud you for that.
Thank you. I'm off grid in a tiny house, and I love it.
And the most exciting part about today's conversation is going to be our you sharing your journey into the PACE Morbid community. So
Yeah.
he's been a great tool, a great guidance for a lot of people like us who are in corporate world who are trying to move up the ladder. And I'm excited to hear all about it. So Belinda, who were you before all this?
Before like this whole investor world stuff, I
Correct.
actually ran a personal chef service
Oh
in
wow.
Baltimore because that's my dream. Well, I wouldn't say dream. It is my passion, right? Is to serve people. I thought I was going to be in the hotel world my whole life because that was my big passion for serving people and being hospitable and anticipating people's needs before they even voice those needs. That's what true hospitality is about. But I got very sick as I was going in my trajectory up. I got very, very sick while I was doing my master's degree, and I'm physically unable to do the work that is required in hotel management because it's a lot of walking, it's a lot of movement, and it's 60 hours a week. And I loved it, and I thought I would retire in hotels, honestly. But before that, I was a teacher, I was a realtor, I was a hospital interpreter. I've done a lot of things, but I thought I would hang my hat up in hospitality until I got sick. So
When you said you were a translator, from my understanding, you speak multiple languages, correct?
I do, yes. Hablo español, no muy bien, pero suficiente, right? Eu falo português, português brasileiro. Eu aprendi, and then claro que hablo coreano. So that was my first language. So
Is your mom Korean or your dad, or
is
what's
my
the mix
mom's Korean.
there? Okay,
My
nice.
mom's Korean and my dad's Black American.
I love that you embrace all three languages and that you use them to your advantage, right? I know when I met you and you told me what you were doing, I'm like, I have personally never heard of this. And I know my community, my Spanish community can benefit so much from this. So I'm really excited to work, looking towards the future, working with you to see how we can help them with this that we don't know about, a lot of the things that you
Absolutely. No, I didn't know about it either, and both my parents, well, I say both my parents, my mom and my stepfather. I have 4 parents. I have 2 moms and 2 dads,
do.
right?
Okay.
Because my dad remarried and then my mom remarried, and I consider them all equally my parents. But the 2 parents I grew up with, they were entrepreneurs, and they've never even heard of this, and so when I learned about it, I said, híjole, me imagino que hay muchos latinos, muchos inmigrantes, que tienen su propio negocio que no saben de eso, right? So I was like, I'm going to be the one to teach.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And we need you. So thank you so much for your service and your heart to, to want to do this for the community because it is very important that we're very well educated. We see a lot of hurt with people who get taken advantage to
Right.
see people stepping up like you who are looking to help. It really is like a breath of fresh air to know that there are people that are looking out for us
Yeah,
business
absolutely. Thank
owner
you.
and someone who's just starting in the investment world. I feel good to have someone like you behind my back.
Thank you. And
So
this is my kitten. She's going to join us a lot through
it's
this
okay.
conversation.
We love kitties in this show. What is her name?
Her name is Vivian Suki. She's named after my 2 grandmothers.
Oh, that is so sweet. Hi, Vivian Suki. You're welcome. You're so beautiful. We love
She
to have
is.
you here. So, did you always see this version of your life for yourself? Where you are now?
That's a really good question. I will say yes and no. I have always been a very determined person from childhood. And so I'll say yes because I remember when I was 6 and they were asking, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" As they always ask little children, and I was very specific in my answers. I said, "I want to be a teacher. I want to be a chef. I
Wow.
want to own a business. I want to be a wife, and I don't want to be a mom." Those 5 things. And I have accomplished all of those 5 things.
You were 6 when you said that?
Yes.
Wow.
I was very specific.
Yeah, you
And,
knew what you wanted from the get-go. It's not like, "Oh, maybe."
no, yeah, I knew it. I was like, these are the things that I want to do. And I've done all of those things. I ran a personal chef service. I taught Spanish and French for like 4 or 5 years. I I didn't have children. It's something that I wanted from a childhood, right? I became a business owner and I became a wife. And I that's the reason I say yes. But the reason I say no is because last year in June, the version of my life as I know it got turned upside down, not by choice and totally unexpectedly. And I find myself having to start over. And the way that my future looked in my brain and in my heart doesn't look that way anymore.
Mm,
And I tell you, when I was listening to you talk about raw and what that means, right? Rising after war, the war came to me last year,
mm,
very unexpectedly,
mm, mm,
out
mm.
of the blue. And I thought, well, dang it. ¿Y ahora qué? And I wanted to lay down, crawl, like make a hole and just lay down in it and just stay there because
Mm,
that's what was comfortable. I didn't want to face this new reality. But and I did that. I did exactly that. I stayed in this bed. I went without eating.
mm,
I was like, I don't want to get dressed today. I'm not doing anything. I'm not talking to anyone. I didn't call anyone for a long time.
mm, mm, mm,
And then finally, after a lot of meditation, a lot of prayer, a lot of reflection, many, 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 many walks in the desert with my dog. with my 2 dogs. Um, one day in January this year, early January, I said, "All right, what am I gonna do? Because I really need to do something, and I can't just lay here forever."
Yeah.
And I finally decided, "Yes, I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna live it with love. I'm gonna live it with a lot of forgiveness." Um, for my part, for, their part, I'm going to just love them because so, you might be surprised to hear this, but I don't practice a religion,
Hmm.
right? But I believe very much in Christ consciousness,
Amen.
meaning, whatever Christ means to people, that's always gonna be hotly debated. But one thing that is true, no matter what standpoint you're coming from, is that Christ was an amazing spirit, was an amazing human and an amazing spirit, and there is a lot of Christ that I try to embody,
Hmm.
right? And that is love absolute, that is absolute non-judgment, right? And that is service to everybody and everything, not just mankind, but animals, plants, the water that we drink, the air that we breathe. We are in service to it by not making it dirty, by not using too much of it, hoarding it all for myself like we did with toilet paper during COVID.
I never understood that one because you could always take a shower, but
You
that's
could,
another
right?
story for another day.
So so I thought about it and I said, Christ would say, "Love through this anyway.
Mm,
Love through this anyway. Look at the love that created a friendship and then that created more than that and love through this anyway.
I love that.
And don't blame and don't judge,
Yes, man.
but love you first. Because if
Ooh,
I don't love me first, I don't have anything to give anybody.
yes,
No es
yes.
cierto."
Yes,
Right?
yes, and it takes us, we'll get there. But let's talk about the war now that you're mentioning it, and you mentioned being in your bed and everything because people see the rise, but they don't always understand the cost. So I want you to share a little bit about your cost. What was one of the hardest seasons of your life? I mean, I know you're mentioning this last what is it, 8 months, seven
Yeah.
months since June. So do you want to share a little bit about that? Like, was that what got you like to just be okay, that's it, and I this is it.
Yeah, that was it. It was it. Because it was just like, well, what am I going to do now? Because again, my future looks totally different than the way I had planned. And now I have to do this on my own. And I wasn't anticipating that. So it's like, what does that mean for me? Because I want to maintain my lifestyle, which is off grid in a tiny house away from everything and everybody, but how can I do that by myself? I need more money to make things easier for me to do them on my own. So it was really hard to come to terms with that, especially because it was inesperada, you know? No había nada mal. It was just like, oh, boom. Okay, aquí estoy sola. Wow. Okay. Wow. All right then. Well, now what? And then, like I said, that day in January, I brought it all together and I used all of the coaching that I've given people for over 10 years, right? Because I've been a mindset coach and a spiritual coach for a long time.
Now
And
it's
I
time
said,
to apply to you.
it's time to apply it, right? So I gave myself time. Like the first 3 months, I said, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to judge just 3 months. I'm going to take 3 months to myself and just be sad or be angry or do what, cuss, whatever. And then that 3 months turned into another 3 months. I was like, well, hold on, espérate, wait a second. This is too much. So finally, when January came, I said, I'm ready to go. I'm going to do this. And here's my plan. Just like when I was 6, I'm going to do this and 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 I'm going to do this. And I decided, I'm like, I'm going to be a multimillionaire. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it because I've never done it. And I want to see what it's like. Would money change me? You know what, universe? Let me find out.
Ah,
And
that's
I
a
was
very
so
bold
ready to
move.
go.
They said that when you get to those levels, whatever is inside of you actually expands and comes out, so
Exactly, right? And so I was like, "Hey, why not? Let's try it. Let's see who I'd become. Would I be a jerk? Would I be amazing philanthropist? I don't know, but let's see." And the only way to see is to get there. And that's what I decided. I said, I don't know how I'm going to, but I'm going to be a multimillionaire. Am I there yet? Of course not. But I'm on my way. I really am.
I
And so,
love it.
and then that was a Tuesday. And the next day, one of my dogs died unexpectedly.
Oh.
All of a sudden, she was
Oh.
healthy and then she just died.
Oh my God.
Right. And I was like, what in the world? Like I had at least 6 more years with her. She was only 9
Mm,
and she was healthy and just she was like whimpering all morning and I was on calls because the next day I started action. I'm like, all right, let me call people, right? Let me get this set up. And she was whimpering and I thought she just wanted to go outside. So that was 9:15, she starts whimpering. 11:15, we go outside and then she gets out there and my roommate is saying she is wobbly. And I looked at her, I'm like, she is wobbly. And by 1 o'clock, she was gone. We were
wow.
on our way to the vet.
Oh.
We were on our way to the vet and she died on the way to the vet. And I sat there and I thought about it. Later, in the next few days, I believe in the power of prayer. A prayer with good intention, with intention behind it, right? And action that aligns with it, that's going to come true. Excuse me. So I said, I'm going to take all this hurt and confusion and I'm going to pray that things change like this for me. Because clearly, so sorry.
That's okay. That's all that emotion. We carry it in our throat, our heart. It's all manifesting.
My, so sorry about that. But I agree with you. Yeah, it's
You're letting it out. So your body is reacting.
it's true.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great thing. Just cough it out. Cough it out.
So I said, you know what? If my life can change from 9:15 to 1 o'clock in
Mm,
this way, right? In ways that I don't prefer. I try not to say good or bad, right? It
mhm,
changed in a way that I did not prefer. It can also change just like this in ways that I do prefer. So now I can choose to take some time and be sad and grieve my dog. Because remember, I had just come out of 6 months of just laying down.
mm,
And the urge to go back to bed was really strong.
oh, yes.
So I went back to bed for that day only, for Wednesday, just for the rest of Wednesday. And Thursday, I got up and I hit it even harder because I said, look how fast my life can change. Now I have to imagine my next 5 years without my baby girl,
Yeah. How did
right?
that how did that day feel? What did you when you went to bed? Because you sound like you were very intentional about everything that you're doing. So even you saying I'm just gonna go to bed for one day, you were going to bed with an intention that day. What
Yeah.
was conversation with yourself at that moment in that bed, or did you just go to sleep?
No, I didn't just go to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I was too sad.
Mm,
My intention was to cry all day. And that's exactly what I did. I went through all our photos of us with the girl, with our baby girl Queen. And I called people who loved her when she was alive. And I let them know that she had passed unexpectedly. And I just sat and I prayed and I connected and I journaled. And I wrote to her in my journal that night saying,
oh,
look how everything has changed. Now you are with your brother and
mm,
all the other dogs that I've ever had that you've never met, and you're fine and you're good. And now it's your turn to watch me and take care of me.
oh, that's so sweet.
That's what I wrote in my journal. I said, I'm sorry that I didn't know anything was wrong with you and that you didn't have a more dignified death than you did. And then that's it. I cried it out and I remembered her and I talked to her and I journaled and I prayed and I meditated. And then I was like, what's going to make me feel better? And then I started watching Bridgerton.
That show.
Because I said I need to do something to bring me joy because I have done what I came here to do. And that's what I did. So I just I made popcorn and I ate popcorn in bed. And then by the end of the night, I watched Bridgerton. And I didn't want to watch it all the way through because I was like, let me just pace it out for myself. And then the next day I got back to work and I asked her for signs that I would see her.
Mm,
And I said, I want to see streakers, which are shooting stars that have a tail. I said, come to me in streakers and green bugs. Very
mm,
specific. And
mm.
for the first 2 weeks, I think I saw 4 streakers the 2 weeks
Wow.
after he died in the night sky. And then I was hanging up laundry because that's something I love to do living off grid in the desert. And all of a sudden, a tiny little green and black iridescent beetle landed on me
Wow.
and then landed on the sheet. It was I looked it up. It's called a June bug.
Okay.
And they normally come out when it's warmer. Mind you, this was January, February.
Wow.
But we had a really weird warm streak where it was 80 degrees in February and this little June bug. And I haven't seen any more since then. But yeah, so after that, I haven't really heard from her. But she stayed just long enough for me to really get past it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry for all the waterworks.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. My next question was what almost broke you, but it sounds like that was, after your what you had to go and learn to be alone, and then now your dog dies, right?
All
Did
of a
you
sudden.
agree that was because I had 2 dogs for 12 years and both of my dogs are dead too. Like long story for another day, something similar to yours, but oh girl, I had never experienced pain like that. Ooh,
Girl. When people say they're just pets, I'm like, no, you don't understand.
no.
No,
Yeah,
they're
no,
not just my
no.
pets. I don't
Yeah.
have children, so these were my babies. So, I
That
cook
night.
food every week. I make a big batch of their food, and that's what they eat. I cook for my babies.
Oh wow. Nice, nice. So did that night did the cross did this thought, like, did you feel like giving up, and did you
I did.
look think about what would that look like for you, like while you were like doing intentionally, because it sounds like you intentionally everything that you did that day was very intentional for a
Yeah,
healing purpose, and because
yeah,
you're a healing coach, you know the tools to use, which
yeah,
we can share with other people that are going through the same thing. But you were super intentional about just, this is my pain, I'm gonna face it, and this is how I'm gonna do it. But
yeah.
that's the warrior in you. But what was the human in you saying at that moment? Like, what would it
Girl,
look like if
give
I
it up.
quit
Just
now?
stay in this bed because it's comfortable. And at this point, your life looks like a country song. Because you know what else happened? The next week, my car died. I had to
Oh
get a
wow.
whole new motor. I had to get a whole new motor. $3,600 to replace my motor. So I was just like, okay, let's just stop. Because clearly life is trying to keep you down. So just stay down, give it what it wants. Because what's the next thing that's going to happen? I don't want to know. Right? Because the country song doesn't go beyond my wife left. Well, I don't have a wife, but my wife left, my dog ran away, and my truck died. And I'm like, yes, all
It
these
is a
things,
country song.
right? So
And
I'm
I'm
like,
hanging
what
sheets
comes
in the
next?
desert with ladybugs and with green beetles. Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, I don't know what comes next in the song, and I don't want to find out. So that was one of the thoughts in my head. Like, just clearly you're getting signs that this is just not your season. right? So
Mm,
maybe you just need to
mm,
sit down longer. But then I thought, no, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They asked me at the vet, do you want a necropsy? And I said no for two reasons. One, because I could not imagine them cutting up my baby girl,
mm,
right? Um, and then two, I couldn't afford it. And that part right there, I said, nunca jamás am I ever going to be in this situation again. You know, obviously, I don't want another dog to die mysteriously again, but if they do, I want to be in the position to say, how did this happen? And I couldn't in that moment.
mm,
I couldn't in that moment, and I said, no, no, never again. I hated how that felt. I hated how that felt. On one hand, I didn't want them to cut her up, but on the other hand, I'm like, what the heck happened to my perfectly healthy dog?
mm,
So that was another fuel that I was like, no, 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 no. Get up, get out. Now Queen is there on the other side with the help of the angels and the creator, and they're going to help you because you made a declaration. I want to be a multimillionaire. And so that's it.
mm.
That's
So
what I'm
that
going to do.
version of yourself while you were laying in there, what did that version of you need that she didn't get in that moment?
I needed the comfort of my companion, and I did not have that.
How did that make you feel?
I went back to being angry for a second, but then I
Mm,
thought about what is anger. To me, it's a very wasteful emotion. Anger is secondary to something else, right?
mm-hmm,
Anger is what happens when we let our ego come in and we get lazy about being vigilant about checking that ego, ego, edging God out,
mm,
right? Because where God lives, ego cannot. And that's the truth. That is absolutely the truth,
yes, ma'am.
right? So anger was the first thing. And then I thought, you're not angry, B. What are you? You
Mm,
are sad, definitely. You are looking for someone to blame because it is easier to be angry than it is to be sad, right? And what you are is indignant. Rightfully indignant, but you're not angry.
mm.
So that's what I felt about that.
So at that moment, what changed in you after telling yourself those things and knowing that what you needed right there and there wasn't what you thought you needed, not what you needed, what you
Mhm.
thought you needed wasn't there at that moment and you were alone. What changed in you?
I was reminded. So, like I said, I'm not religious, but I am deeply spiritual and I have a really close relationship with my creator, right? Call call it God, call it whatever, universe, whatever, right? The great source and I walk and talk every day. And I said to myself, I am not alone.
Mm, mm,
I am not alone. Everyone who's ever come before me is right here. My angels are around me. My creator created me beautifully, and I am
yes,
not alone.
yes, ma'am.
So, girl, get your behind up and do the damn thing.
So after that night, what was that? What did you start doing differently now that you went through that? You realized you're alone, that what you thought you needed, it's not really what you thought you needed, right? Sometimes we get caught up in all these emotions, and once you found that you went back to that your rock, your
Yeah.
creator, and you're like, I'm not
Yes.
alone and I can do this. What did you do the next day that changed everything? What did you start doing differently?
I looked at the thing that would propel me forward the most, right? Two things that I can think of off the top of my head. One is cold calling.
Mm,
And then two is being more visible. I live a very secluded life. I have a very small footprint. I live in 155 square feet of space, and I love
wow.
it. My nearest neighbor is 2 miles away. It takes me 24 minutes to get to the main intersection of the nearest town where there is a Walmart and a gas station. Like, that's how far away I live from everyone on purpose. I chose this. And I've been
Mm,
doing this almost 6 years.
wow.
I do not post about my life on the socials. Only in 2024, when I joined one of the Pace Morby communities, did I start posting regularly on social media. And it's mostly about business. Nobody knows what's going on in my life, and I prefer it that way. Right. And so, me doing this is a really big deal and very uncomfortable.
Well,
It's a
you're
big
doing
deal to me.
amazing. And it's an honor to have you here, and your story is amazing. So this is great.
So those are the two things. Cold calling will get me ahead faster and connecting with more people, right? And not even just cold calling, but just cold connecting. And all the connects are cold, right? Because I don't connect with anybody. So, and then putting myself out there, like really just being seen, being seen. I don't like to be out there. I don't like a lot of attention. I don't like to be seen. When I was in my 20s, I modeled. And so I was constantly, it was always constantly pictures, cameras, videos, pictures, cameras, videos. I'm living the opposite life of that now. Like nobody see me. I don't take selfies. If there's a photo happening, I will be the first one to say, let me take the picture of you guys. I don't want to be
Mm,
in that photo.
mm, mm,
And so, in order to be successful, I needed to be able to get over these two things. So, the first thing I did was I reached out to people and said, hey, would you like to do a power hour with me? They're like, what's that? I was like, it's an hour or longer where we get together on video. We talk about what our objective is in that hour. And whenever we accomplish something, we put it in the chat, but we keep ourselves muted and the camera on. And we
mm,
laser focus on whatever we need to get done in that hour or longer. For me, it was cold calling, so I went and got other people. I looked at like sales groups on Facebook. I found one. It's for people who have cold call reluctance. And I'm like, who wants to do a power hour with me? And then I went to, because I have ADHD, I actually have ADHD, right? So I'm definitely neurospicy, a neuroatypical individual. And I went to an ADHD group on Facebook for body doubling.
mm.
Are you
What
familiar with
is
this
that?
concept? So people with ADHD often perform better when they have somebody in the room with them.
Mm.
That person doesn't have to do anything. Just sit. Excuse me.
There's another one for someone who put herself on the grid to be able to go and find people. See, it's coming out.
Yeah,
Like I
it's
had
so
to
true.
find a buddy.
But was having somebody in the room, even if I'm cleaning and you're just sitting there doing whatever you do, it like instantly puts accountability on me and just makes me do things. And so there's groups and there's actually even apps for people who
Wow,
need body doubles, right? And
nice.
so I said, this is what I need. This is when I need it. This is how I'd like it to go. Who's with me? Our group now is international, and
Wow.
we've grown to 5 people. And it was just me and one other person in Arizona. And then this woman in Canada joined. Then this woman from Leon, Mexico said, hey, can I join? I said, yes. And then she brought one of her friends, and the Canadian friend is about to bring another friend. So we're about to expand to 7. So we meet
Beautiful. Wow.
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and we say, this is what I'm going to do in this hour. And then we just do it.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And now, at the end of the show, if you want to grow this group, we can share with others, but if not, this is a great idea for other people to that feel the same way to go ahead and do something like this. But I commend you for that. So during this process, from going from being always in the camera to getting yourself off the grid to now going back into that, what did you have to unlearn? Because you're learning a lot of things right now about yourself, how you need to find a buddy, how you work better, with accountability partner. But what did you have to unlearn from, as I said, from going from the cameras to purposely putting yourself into off the grid to now purposely, very thoughtfully putting yourself on the grid to where you're doing this weekly, you said.
Yeah. I had to have an ego death.
Mm. Oof.
Yeah. In my early 20s, I modeled. I was gorgeous.
You're so
Right?
gorgeous.
Like young, beautiful, gorgeous. Well, thank you, by the way. And when you're in front of the camera all the time, that gets to your head. It
Mm.
really does. And when I was in my 20s, girl, you couldn't tell me nothing. I had a salary, I had no debt, I had a titanium credit card, right? With like a $40,000 limit. Who does that? Who gives a 23-year-old a $40,000 credit limit? That was me. I was good with my money. I was traveling a lot. You couldn't tell me nothing.
Mm.
And as I went along my spiritual path and practiced different religions, and then eventually walked away from religion, that was actually part of my ego death journey. I realized and I'm still on this journey, but as the ego wore away little bit by little bit by little bit, I realized I don't need permission for my
Mm.
relationship with God.
Mm.
So let me give myself the permission that I need to go directly to the source and cut out any middleman, right? Because the middleman has their opinion and I don't care about it,
Yep.
right? And let me really decide who I want to be like. And I chose Christ,
I love that.
right? And I'm just like, you couldn't say anything to that man that would get him upset.
Yep.
You couldn't say anything to that man that would make him not love you.
Mm. Mm.
That's what I want to be. You couldn't be poor enough to not he couldn't be poor enough to then still not serve. That did not come out right. But in other words, it didn't matter that he had nothing. He increased it
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
the act of service, in a heart of service. It's like, what do we got? Oh, we got 2 fish and what was it? 5 fish and 2 bread,
Yeah.
something like that. And we got like 700 people. Bet I got this.
7,000, 5,000 people.
Right? Like, I got this. We can do this, right? Because I believe in miracles and I believe in the power of prayer. And I believe that when you give to the next person, you will always have enough.
Mm.
You will
Beautiful.
always have enough.
Beautiful. That's a great lesson. So now that you have risen and we are where we are,
Hmm.
what did you do differently to get into the rooms that you're now?
It was that whole thing of be seen and talk about what you're good at. Along my journey of ego death, I went inward and I stopped talking about what I was good at. I would act on it and I would offer it, but I wouldn't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And as soon as I joined Top Tier TC, which is inside the PACE communities, I went into our Facebook page and I went into our Kajabi and I got to feel a lay of the land. I said, what is the culture here? And they kept using this word go giver.
Mm.
And so I looked that up and I saw the book that was, it was connected to. And I read a summary of the book, or I listened to a summary of the book. And I said, okay, what do I have to go and give to this group? And I noticed that a lot of it was that there wasn't a whole lot of mindset. And I was like, I am a mindset coach. Let me do this. So I said, hey, people at support, who do I need to reach out to offer classes?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so they got the wonderful Ashley Mason in touch with me. And she's like, I hear that you're offering mindset classes, or you want to offer mindset classes. She's like, I don't know you from Adam. So let's talk. So, at that moment, I said to myself, you have to show out. You're good at so much and you know that you are. You have to own that without thinking that it's boasting. That was the part.
Mm.
Without thinking that it's boasting. If it weren't true and you were trying to make it sound true, that's one thing. But it is true. So,
Mm.
girl, own your stuff.
Yes,
So she
ma'am.
said, I don't know you. So, let's pump the brakes. I said, you don't know me, but you will. That was when it
I
started.
love that. I like
But you
that.
will,
I like
you know? And so by the end of our conversation, she said, I had no idea you were so valuable. I was like, yeah, well, I'm good at a few things. And I wanted to tell you what I'm good at and what I could offer. And so Immediately, for the next like 6 weeks, she set it up to where I did a class like every week or every other week, and I did 4 mindset classes, and they were well attended, and
No,
they still live in the vault. So anybody who joins top tier today has access to it and can watch it.
that's beautiful. That's
Yeah, so
beautiful.
that was
I
the
love
first thing I did, and then I started networking, and then I created a Facebook group, a sub Facebook group for newbies, saying,
Look,
let's
now
all
you're creating other groups. Wow.
exactly. I said, let's all hold ourselves accountable, because there was a book club inside Top Tier, and we were reading a book called The 12-Week Year. So I created a subgroup for newbies saying, let's create our own 12-week year. And every week we're going to hold ourselves accountable to an assignment to start our businesses. So it's like week 1 was like, hey, let's focus on LLCs. Week 2, let's focus on what kind of marketing we're going to do, right? Week 3, let's get at least the wording for our websites up. And so like we did this, and then I said, okay, what's next? I wanted to be a solopreneur, but then I said, let me join a team so I get a lot of experience. So I joined a team. And then from that team, the team leader, she happened to also lead the book club, and she also happened to own this business that I'm now part of. And then she said, my tenure as Northeast Regional Leader is coming to a close. I know you don't live in the Northeast, but you're from the Northeast and you move like you're from the Northeast. I'm going to nominate you. And so she
Wow.
nominated me, and then I became Northeast Regional Leader, right?
Wow.
And
From a
me and
600 New
I'm
Mexico
sorry.
decimer to a regional leader in a region you're not even a part of.
Exactly, right? And so
Wow.
they had to get approval for that, but both the regional leaders agreed, like, she'd make a good leader. And she speaks our language, because people in the Northeast, we move at the speed of business.
Yep.
So, excuse me. There's wind blowing. It's about 40 miles an hour, and I feel like there's dust coming in my windows. So I apologize. Um, so yeah, so my co-leader and I, Chelsea and I, we ran a very, very successful tenure. We had people from other regions joining us. Every week we got together and we planned what we were going to do. We started every session with mindfulness and deep questions like you're asking yourself, because what we wanted to bring was value to our community, not just a place for people to Cloudo, you can ask questions, right? But it's like, let's give you the answers to the questions that we know you're going to ask anyway, and create a space where if you don't want to talk about being a TC or investing, you can do that. So it
Mhm.
was warm, it was welcoming. We had people from every region joining us saying, do I have to be in the Northeast? I said, girl, I'm in New Mexico. So you can join. And it was great. We had different speakers and this and that. And then one of those speakers were 2 folks from cost segregation, explaining to the TC operators, right? This is something you should suggest to the investors that you work for to improve cash flow. And from there on, one of those gentlemen kept saying, you should really do this because you have a knack for teaching people. And you would be able to reach a wide audience, because many people need to know how they can save on their taxes through something that the IRS allows if you own a building. And I thought, nah, no thanks, no thanks. No, it seems salesy. It's not for me. And
Yeah.
that was another place where I came out of my comfort zone. It was like, no, go ahead and do this. So I was doing them both simultaneously, and then decided, no, I'm going to go all in on this, because the TC work I still do with my business partner. We're land investors. So whenever he has a deal, I TC the deal. That was the whole reason I got into it in the first place. And then I went off on all these other tangents, right? And so I started to do that, and I signed up in June. And then the end of June, boom, my life gets flipped upside down. So what does a girl do when that happens? She goes to who? Her sister, right? Her mama's food, and her girlfriends, who are all back in Baltimore. So I went on a trip. I spent 2 weeks back at home. And during that trip, Pace Morby was going to be coming to DC for a wealth summit. I don't go to these things because my nearest neighbor lives 2 miles away, and 400 people in a room is not my thing, right?
Getting you to the corners 24 minutes.
Right, exactly. Right. So I was like, I'm not going to this. And my co-leader, Chelsea. She lived in West Virginia. She's like, I'm going, and I would love to meet you in person, because by this point we're friends, right? We meet every week. We still meet, even though our tenure for leadership is over. We still meet. She said, I want to meet you, and it would be easiest if we met at the conference. So I said, okay, I'll meet you at the conference. And before I went to the conference, Yumi, you know Yumi,
Yes.
right? She's an
Shout
Owners
out
Club
to
member.
Yumi. Thank you
Shout out
for
Yumi.
putting this together.
Right? We're in this together. So Yumi just casually mentioned to me, Onyi. She calls me Onyi, which is Korean for big sister, right?
Oh, I love that.
She said,
Oh.
Onyi, did you know that Pace speaks Korean? I said, why? Why does he speak Korean? He looks like the last person that would speak Korean, but then, coming from my face, right? So,
You judging, how dare you?
right, exactly. I'm like, why does he speak Korean? And people are like, we say the same about you. So I decided I'm going to meet him and I'm going to test that theory. And I went to this thing. I did not want to go, but I went and I saw him, and I almost didn't go. I was like, it's probably true, right? That's where he did his mission work. That's probably true. And I'm satisfied with that. But then I thought, no, girl, that's the whole reason, right? That you came here was to meet Chelsea and to do some networking. Go network. Go network with the networker. So I walked over to him, and one of the people he was with recognized me from being in TC. And she was like, oh, Bella, because on Facebook I go as Bella, right? She's like, wow, it's so good to meet you. Like, wait, but aren't you in New Mexico? I was like, I am, but I'm visiting my family, so I thought I'd stop in. And so I said to him in Korean, I was like, I heard a rumor that you speak Korean. Is that true? He was like, wait a minute, wait.
How do you say that? How do you say that? I
어디서
want to hear
들었는데요?
you say it to him.
어디에서 페이스가 한국말을 할 수 있다는 것을 들었는데요. 그게 진짠지 가짠지 확인하려고요. So he was like, wait a second. I hear it and I understand you, but why is it coming out of your face?
He was as confused as you are.
And I said the same about you when I heard that you speak Korean. And so I just kept speaking to him in Korean, and he would answer me in English because he fully understands, even though it's been about 20 years, he fully understands Korean. And then he said, your father's in the service and your mom's Korean, right? I said, yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. He was like, wow, it's been so long that I've heard, someone speak to me like that. It's so shocking, So he's like, oh, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm meeting Chelsea and all of this. And my parents live just down the road. So, I thought I'd stop in. And so that was a great experience, right? And so fast forward to February of this year, Pace is going to be in Albuquerque. And in New Mexico, there are actually only 3 top-tier TC members in the whole state. One only joined because he wanted to TC his own deals, right? And then there was me and this one other girl. And I'm no longer doing TC work actively. Like, I'm not actively seeking clients. So when Pace was here, I was like, this is her moment. Let her do her thing. So when he said, hey, who are the TCs here? I just sat. I'm like, go ahead. That's because that's her thing. Right. And she's like, you're okay with this? She did ask me beforehand. She's like, are you okay with me saying that I'm the only one? I said, girl, I'm perfect with it because I'm all into the cost seg. I'm going to put everything in it and I'm going to make this work. She said, okay, I'll send everyone to you for cost seg. I said, cool. So when he called for TCs, that's you. But I was planning on talking to him later. And when that time came, I almost didn't go again. I almost did not go. But I was like, no, I bought this sweater with a bunny on it for a reason. I wanted him to see my sweater. So if you're familiar with Pace, then you know that he's got a story about bunnies and about his very first deal that he was able to do. And he had to help the people find a home for their bunnies. And so he always tells us as a community, find your customers' bunnies, find your clients' bunnies, and then you will help them solve their problem. And then you can do good business. That's how you do good business. You're not here to make money. You're here to find the bunnies, right? So I bought this sweater with a bunny on it. And I had this pin made. Oh, I should have put the pin on for you today, but I forgot. It's just a little round pin. It says, "Do you even cost seg, bro?"
I love that.
So I saw him alone. He's like, "All right, I'm going to be outside now if anybody wants to come and talk to me." So I was like, "Go." Just like in DC, just go. What are you hesitating for? You know? And I thought, "Oh, he talks to 1,000 people. He's not going to remember me." So I started to go and I had my phone in my hand. I put my phone in my purse and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to put my phone in my purse, right? I'm going to go and talk to him." So he sees my sweater and he was like, "Did you wear that for me?" I said,
Oh,
"Yes." He's like, "Nobody's ever worn a bunny sweater for me. That's so cool." So he came in to give me a hug. And as he was hugging me, I said to him in Korean, "Do you remember meeting me in DC?" And he's like, "Look at this woman speaking Korean in Albuquerque," and looked at my face again. He's like, "It's you. I remember your face because it doesn't match the language." So he saw my button. He was like, "Wait a minute. We actually need a new cost seg provider." And we were just talking. I was just talking to my team about this yesterday. How do I get in touch with you? I was like, "Well, I don't have a phone." So he said, here's my phone. Text yourself." So I texted him. I was like, "It's Belinda, the Cossack lady who speaks Korean in Albuquerque." And that was February 1st. And last week, all the paperwork was signed,
Wow.
and I am the go-to Cossack provider for the entire community.
Wow, for the entire community. Talk
Yeah.
about intention and talk about alignment and what you said, just doing the right thing and having that right mindset that it all lined up to
Yeah, it
this
did.
moment perfectly, and what's meant for you will find you. You just
Yes.
gotta get up, right? Just gotta get up and do it. And I love how you left your ego every time, like you're like, no, let us just put it to the side, put it to the side, let me go talk to
Yeah.
him, put it to the side, because all that in our head, sometimes a lot of people, if I learn something in counseling, is that our ego, it's not our friend, and sometimes we
No.
think we're being humble, but we're not being humble. We're
Right.
actually doing
Yes.
ourselves and somebody else a disservice by
Right.
not acknowledging and taking control, like what you were
That's so
saying,
true. You're doing somebody else a disservice
yes you are, yes
because
you
people
are.
need what you have, right?
Yes, ma'am, they need it, and sometimes we keep it to ourselves, and they might we might be the only option that they have at that moment, like somebody
Girl, you're
said
so
in the squat up community, if somebody has never read the Bible, let the Bible be you. If you're that person that one person is
yeah,
gonna meet one day, let that person be you
yeah,
so that they can come to this journey that we're on. Like
yeah.
what you said, I'm not religious
Mhm.
anyways either. My when I first started coming to church and everything, one of the pastors said, "Religion sucks," and it does. It keeps you away from the Lord. So finding that relationship, but you said you talk to Him every day and all day, we start to speak a different language. And when He
You
calls us
do.
to do stuff, and we shy away, we're not listening to our Father, right? He's like, "I
Right.
called you specifically,
Yeah.
Belinda, to go and talk to that person." So I
Yes.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So
Thank you for that
what's
perspective.
Yes, it's a really, really good. When somebody said it to me, I was like, you're right. Like, but it takes a long time for us, um, because the world doesn't want us to think that way, unfortunately. And that's what's something that I love about this whole community, that people push each other to be better, because the
Yeah.
world's not really pushing us to be better. They want us to be average like them, like, and not that we're not average people and we're not trying to be better than anybody else, but we should embrace our individuality.
We
It's good
should.
that you are, it's good that you speak Korean and don't look like Korean, like
Right. It's
all
true.
stuff is good.
It is good.
Because that opens up so many doors for you. I see
It
people that
does.
stick with their communities or just stick with their language, and there's so much more for you to offer, right? Like, we were
Yeah.
made for the world, not for just a place and time. We're
Yep.
eternal beings. We
Are.
change eternal lives. Like, everything that
Right.
we touch is eternal. Um,
Yes.
but what's something during this whole process? that you think you got by doing all this, but you didn't? Something that you discovered that was always there.
That's a good question.
So a lot of times we do and do and do, and we think we're gonna get something, but we don't. We still don't. And then we gotta go back to that point where, like, I don't need that. I already have it.
Wholeness.
Ooh, okay.
I am complete.
Mm,
Period. End of sentence.
mm, mm.
That's it.
That's a lot. I love that. That's really good. So now that you're whole, what do you tolerate less of now?
Bush. Oh, let me stop myself.
That was really like, that was fast. That really
Like, I don't know what kind of audience is gonna see this. So, caca de toro.
And for those that don't speak Spanish,
Right. That's bull dookie.
bull turkey. I like that, bull turkey. Okay, I love
I
that.
I don't tolerate it. And that's
Mm,
something that, as I have gotten older and I have gotten more whole, I tolerate it even less. But whereas in my 20s, I didn't tolerate it and would get mad about it. I'll be
mm.
48 this year. Yumi and I have the same birthday, actually. She'll be
Oh,
40.
wow, that's another alignment there.
That's
You
super
girls do. When
aligned.
I'm just like 48, you gotta give me your secret.
Man, they say Asian don't raisin.
Ooh.
So we'll get to like 60, and at 60, all the age will catch up to us at once. That's my mother did it that way. My aunts did it that way. That's just kind of how so we got 12 more good years. But it's just now I don't tolerate it and I just let it go.
Mm,
There's no judgment about it. There's no complaining about it when I see it. There's no thinking this person is less than the way I did in my 20s and my
ooh,
30s. And it wasn't until my mid-30s that I started making this shift. And now it's like, yeah, that's less than what I would tolerate, and that's okay. That's
mm.
where that person is on their journey, and that has nothing to do with me. And then
Wow.
send them a little prayer. May
Mm.
they elevate, may they grow beyond their wildest dreams and keep it moving. And it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't tolerate it, but it doesn't bother me anymore.
Okay, I absolutely love that. It does show that you have found that wholeness place where you're not seeking for someone to be validating, or
Yeah,
you to validate someone to come at peace with what you're doing and with the decisions that you're making, that you're okay being off the grid without your dog in that bed, that you will still get up and make popcorn, or you're okay with going in there and introducing, purposely wearing a bunny sweater to be in that space, and actually going and talking to him, right? Because you could have
yeah,
worn that sweater and got lost into the multitude, but you made your
yeah.
way there and you got a hug and his phone. You gave
Did.
him
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna talk to him about cost segregation, but I didn't have to. The bunny spoke to him, I guess.
So now on a more deeper level, what separates a powerful woman from you, from everybody else? And I don't ask this, as I said, we're not talking about ego here, and anything like, what separates you and from everybody else?
I was gonna say ego. I was gonna say ego. That's what keeps people stuck.
Yes.
And people will tell you this who know me, girl, I could care less what anybody thinks. I really could give two dookies.
Sense.
I don't care in the least what anyone's opinion is of me, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. That is their business and they are entitled to it. And it's because my ego has been wearing away more and more every year that
Mm.
somebody can say something about me and I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Does that help you?
Oh, oof.
Right? Okay, if it helps you, then there you go. That's my good deed for the day.
I love
And
that.
I'm not gonna correct them. I'm not
Mm,
gonna try to make them see me for who I actually see myself as. Why? Why would I do that? I don't
mm,
have time for that. I don't have desire for that. That's what separates me, is that I know I'm great. I claim it. I know what I'm good at, right? I'm not gonna shrink myself.
ooh,
When I first came to New Mexico, I used to get dressed up everywhere because I'm from the DMV. You know how it is.
yep,
What does Party say? I get dressed up just to go to the bodega. That's
yep.
real, right? That is real. I mean, I remember being 12 years old and wearing pantyhose, gloves, brooches. I'd always have a brooch on, scarves, hats at 12 in the
Ooh,
seventh grade, right? I've always been this way. So when I first came here and I saw, oh, I'm the most dressed up one in the room, I stopped dressing to go out. I live off grid. I'm always in the dirt. It's dirty. There's snakes, there's coyotes. So n- last year, maybe the year before, I said, bump all that. Let me just go back to who I am. And then after all of this happened, even more so. Even more
mm.
so. I went through my whole wardrobe. I took out everything that doesn't fit perfectly well. That if it doesn't have a zipper and I have to put it over my head, I'm too old for that. I want to be able to step into my dresses, I'm just like, revamp all of it and go back to what I was. And if
Mm.
somebody feels weird because they think I'm overdressed, my question is, why did you had a choice to wear anything and you showed up in this. Don't look at me funny, right? Don't look at me funny. So that's what I mean. It's like I own everything about me, good, bad, or indifferent,
I
whether
love
you
that.
like it or not. If you don't like it, turn around. Turn around.
I love that. I love that. I love that you have come to that place because I think you agree with that. You have found peace, not only
Yeah.
wholeness, but peace, true
Yes.
peace.
Right.
You can't buy that. It doesn't matter what job you have, where do you live, who you are, how you dress. You own that in your dirty clothes or in your scarves and hats and bunny sweaters. You own that.
Right. And
I
if you
love that.
have ego, you don't have that peace because the ego says, do what the masses do, do what is most
Mm.
acceptable, do what is comfortable for other people. That's what ego says. And because my ego is like quieter and quieter and quieter, I'm just like, bump what anybody says. This is me.
Nice, nice.
So,
I love that. So to lighten up the mood a little bit, let's hear a little bit about you. So what's something that people will be surprised to know about you?
besides the fact that I know how to remove rattlesnakes from my property,
How did you even do that?
you have a grabber and you have a bucket that has a lid that screws shut. It has to screw shut. Yeah. But yeah, we have it's about snake season. We've got 5 different species of snakes on the property and I see them all the time. So that's
Wow,
something that I am
you're
in
a snake
contact with snakes
expert.
a lot.
If somebody needs a snake removed from their property, call Bella.
Yeah, I used to outsource it all the time, but then, I'm like, I can't keep doing this because they're going to be here all the time. They live here too. So I
Wow.
learned to do it myself.
Oh, that's a brave
Yeah.
woman. What's something you can't believe that you used to do? Like the new Belinda was something that you used to do before that you can't believe you used to do that.
Care about what people think.
Mm. As a
I can't
model, I
believe
would think at some point you did care a lot, right?
I did. I did care a lot and now I really just don't. I really, 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 really don't
I love
at
that.
all. And I'm just like, how did I ever? Because I'm so different now that I'm just like, I can't believe that version of me ever really existed. But it was necessary. And I honor
Yes,
that version of me. And I thank her.
I love
Right.
that. I love that.
So
Ooh, that's really good. So what's your toxic trait? La tóxica. What makes you la tóxica?
I have a few of them.
I love that you have identified them and know them.
Yeah, I have a
That's
few
very
of them.
powerful.
I have a long list, right? But here's the abbreviated version. Um, I am radically honest. And I have had to learn when not to not speak the truth, but when it's okay not to, when the truth doesn't need to be,
Mm.
when it's irrelevant,
Mm.
right? So that translates into when someone is not ready for a truth or a message, you don't have to be the one to give it to them
That's
because they're not
powerful.
going to hear it anyway. So the kind thing to do would be just to withhold it unless they ask you,
Mm.
right? So that's my number one toxic trait is my radical honesty. I would hide it or and say, but I'm just being honest, but I'm just telling the truth. That's true. That is true. But you also have to be kind. And you have to use discernment to see, is this person ready to hear it? Are they going to receive it, or are they going to double down into cognitive dissonance and say no, it's not true, even though they can clearly see it, right? Then you've wasted your breath and you've possibly ruined this relationship. Ask me how I know.
La tóxica. This is how I am.
Many ruined relationships later. So that is my main one, is the radical honesty. But I have, when you pair radical honesty with discernment and kindness, then you have a much gentler truth teller.
Mm, mm.
So now I wait until people say, what do you think of this? Tell me, give me the truth. Then I will say, are you sure that you're ready for it? Because you might not like what you want to hear.
Oh, I love that. You even ask for
Right?
permission now before you would
Yeah.
just like blurt it out.
Whether solicited or not. Be like, mira, desde aquí lo que yo veo es, and da 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 da. So I don't do that anymore.
Okay.
So while it is a toxic trait, and it's something that I manage. Another one is my fierce um, need for solitude.
Mm,
I sometimes would play a game where I could see, can I go 3 days without opening my mouth and talking to anyone or
wow.
communicating by text, by anything? Yes, I
Wow.
can. And I love it. So that I find it to be toxic because I'm trying to see where ego fits in here, because it's got to be, right? Because our creator did not create us in solitude.
Yes, ma'am.
Everything was created at the same time as an ecosystem,
Mm,
and all of it. When we sit back, perfect example. There is a documentary that said something like, um, I don't know what the title is, but it's something like the world during COVID or the world after COVID, right? It's basically what the world did, the trees, the mountains, the air, the animals, when the people disappeared.
wow. I gotta watch that.
Oh, it was great. I wish I could think of the title, but if you Google those terms, it'll pop up, right? And so I give that example to say none of that happened in a vacuum or in a silo, and so circumstances in my life, in my childhood, what little childhood there was, that's a whole other episode. Circumstances made me, from a super tender age, be in protective mode, be in grown-up mode, because I had to, because nobody was protecting me,
Mm,
right?
I'm
And
sorry.
so I took that sense of independence to be my identity in my young 20s. Oh, I don't need no man. I don't, all that. And now it's not, I don't need a man, but I don't need people.
Oh,
And that I find toxic.
mm.
I find toxic. So what did I do? This year I went on an app called Bumble BFF, and I found 2 BFFs.
Ah, so it works. The
It
apps
does
work.
work. Yeah. So
When you're
there's
intentional.
yeah, it really did work. So like tomorrow we're going, one of my friends and I that I met on this app, we're going to an event of daytime clubbing for women
Oh,
our age. It's called
okay.
Bed Before 10 p.m.
Okay. I love
And it's
that.
from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and we'll both be in bed by 10, and I'm so excited.
I love that. That sounds perfect. Yeah, but because you gotta be in bed by 10.
Right, yeah, because there's nothing out there for me after that. So, it's like knowing that I can solitude myself probably to death. I
Mm,
went out and I said, "I am going to seek companionship." female companionship. So
I
that's
love
what I did.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now I want you to close your eyes. You've risen, but I want to take you back to before the war.
Okay.
So I have a special guest in here. You can open your eyes. So, what would you, when you look at her, what would you say to that little girl and to your mom?
Be kind to your mom because she is doing the best with what she has.
Mm,
That picture just illustrates a very difficult situation that she chose because she could have not chosen it.
thank
Yeah.
God she did.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you? What would you tell that little girl? What do you tell little Bella?
Everything that you're going to go through, it won't break you. It will be the building blocks for the person that you always have known inside that you are. And the moment that you decide you want to embrace that and let that woman come out, all the versions of you, including me, we're going to be here supporting you.
I love that. I love that. That is so to you. I imagine your little 6-year-old with all her plans and stuff, and you just keep going, just keep
Yeah.
going. So, would she be proud of who you became?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That was a really
Look,
fast
look
answer.
how surprised she is looking at me like, wow, you did it. You see that
Yeah,
look of surprise?
she already got the look. That's what she was looking at when they took that picture of you
Right. Like,
now, right?
oh, wow.
Uh, I love that. And this
That's
is a what did she deserve that she had to learn the hard way?
what does she deserve? Is that what you said?
Yes, what did she deserve that she had to learn the hard way?
She deserved all of the good and the joy in life, and the learning that the hard way. How do I put this? She thought she needed to earn that to deserve it, but she deserved it just by the right of being alive, by being a creation of the creator.
I love
Just
that.
by being here, she deserved it. And
Mm,
she learned that lesson the hard way.
oof. Did she become the woman she needed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. I,
Definitely.
I love
I We're always going to be growing and learning, and I'm still going to grow and learn, but I am so deeply satisfied with the version of me that shows up right now. I really am. Am I where I want to be? Yes and no. Yes and no. No, because I still have more to do and I need to hit that multimillionaire status, and I will.
yeah.
Um, but who I am fully, so awesome. I wouldn't trade me for anybody, and I will bet on me every time.
That is commendable. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that.
I gotta ask my mom if she still has that dress because I like it.
You can wear it in the next interview.
That is so snazzy. I love it.
So for every woman and every person out there who can look at their child and who their inner child and the person that they have become today, and they're going through all of this, what is one message that you want them to walk away with out of this conversation?
You are so deeply loved.
Mm,
You are so deeply loved. And if you believe that, then you will start seeing it more, right? You will start seeing the way the people around you love you that maybe you haven't seen because of grief, because of anger, because of fear, because of conditioning. But you are so deeply loved, and that is so empowering.
I take that to my own heart. That
Good.
is a great message. Thank you. Thank you.
This was fun.
So right now, what does power mean to you?
Power is gentleness.
Mm,
Power is service. Power is service because if we are not using our advantages to help the next person, then we are using the power in a way that is destructive instead of productive.
wow, I love that. We're using the power in a way that is destructive and not productive.
Mhm.
And we would think, right, that power, the world wants us to see power as something else, but what you just said, like it's just humbling yourself and serving other.
Yeah,
The Christ-like spirit, that's where true transformation comes from, right?
absolutely. Because I don't
People,
wanna be transactional. I wanna be
yeah,
transformational in my relationships with people.
yeah, yeah. They say that people will not remember what you said or what you did. They'll remember how you made them feel. And
Absolutely.
that goes along the lines with that. I absolutely love that. Well, Bella, this wasn't just a story about success. This is what rising afterward looks like in real life. You right here, everything that you share with us. And as I said at the beginning, I am truly humble that you chose me to be the person to deliver your great news, your how the position where you are at in this community now, and how you're helping others, and how you're motivating this community. And I know this is just the beginning, and we're gonna be able to share with you and see you grow, and you help us grow and everything. So as I said, thank you so much for being my first guest. We were thrown in the fire, but I think we
We
did
sure were.
had a great conversation. You have a lot of really good golden nuggets. I learned so much from you and about myself throughout this conversation and my business and everything. That, as I said, just when you were speaking, I'm just taking this to my own heart. So thank you for being humble and vulnerable, because I know it's not easy, but I'm happy that you did it here in my channel. That means the
Thank
world.
you for
An honor.
creating a space.
Thank you so much. So guys, if you need Bella's information, as we said, she's a cost segregation advisor. If you don't know what it is, here's her information. You need to talk to her, because as business owners, we need her. There's a lot of things we don't know and nobody teaches us. So I love that this community and platforms like myself were able to bring on people like you, so that we can advance, because sometimes we're in our business and we're just stuck somewhere, and we're not really stuck. We just need someone like you that is going to be like, hey, did you know you can do that? So,
Yeah,
guys, you don't know where you're stuck, or she helps building. She says here, I help building owners reduce tax liability legally and without confusion. If I have learned anything, you gotta do everything the legal way.
yes,
You gotta
yes,
do everything the legal way, and there's a lot of good legal things that we don't know. So you can be saving. Get your tax analysis, save money, whatever she's doing, she's gonna help you grow. So once again, Bella, it was such a pleasure to have you here. It truly has been an honor, and I know this is that we're going to be working together, and I'm excited about that. But now I can say, I have a new friend we speak in the same language about this Christ
literally.
Spanish and in the whole universe sense, right? So I love to find it's all about alignment, and I
It is.
love that our times have aligned when they have aligned at the perfect timing for us to be able to help others. So it truly
Yes.
is. I'm really happy that you're here, and as I said, it's an honor that I am the first person that you share your story. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I haven't told anybody yet, so that's it feels good.
This this is great. Thank you so much. Truly, truly an honor. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. That was fun.